Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. My name is Pete. I make the Instagram videos here at Make Noise. And this week I thought I'd stop by the channel and share a series of patches all about the sounds of the Touchtone phone. This is an iconic and immediately recognizable family of tones that we can recreate with just a few simple tools. Let's get started. The tone generation on a Touchtone phone happens inside the phone on an IC that looks like this. This chip contains a matrix of frequencies, and each position on that matrix is selected by one of these buttons. Dialing a phone is playing a song. To synthesize these tones, it's simply a matter of looking at what the frequencies are that are indexed in this matrix. This first patch uses an O control and an O coast, 4 patch cables, and an output cable. It requires 2 oscillators, so be sure to set slope to cycle and patch the slope output, the balance input, with balance set right in the middle. On the oscillator side, you'll want to set multiply fully counterclockwise. It's a tenuverter right in the center to avoid any modulation from slope section. And overtone, I like to set it around 11 o'clock near this first mark. We'll connect the touch gate output to the dynamic CV input. And I have the pitch and strength rows patched to the volt per octave and time CV inputs on the oscillator and slope respectively. This is what it sounds like. The dynamics control can be used as a kind of low-pass filter for the sound to help us synthesize different makes and models of theoretical Touchtone phones. Of course, there's nothing stopping you from changing some aspect of the sound. For example, the touch gate here is now patched to the gate input of contour. As I said a moment ago, tuning is key for this patch. What I like to do is open up the tuner app in the DAW that I use. I'm sure the DAW that you use has something similar. In Ableton, on the bottom of the tuner app, there's a small button marked CT. If you press it, it will now say HZ. It'll display hertz. That's the number we want to match when tuning. There are a handful of other sounds we can synthesize based on the frequencies of this IC, each as evocative of the Touchtone era as the sounds of dialing a number. Next up is dial tone. Dial tone is what you hear after you pick up the receiver, but before you dial a number. It sounds like this. The dial tone is a drone. It's just 2 notes, 350 Hz and 440 Hz, played continuously, and you can play it for as long as you like. So we've picked up the receiver, we've heard the dial tone, we've dialed in a number. What do we hear next? That is the ringback tone. It is 440 Hz, 480 Hz, played with 2 seconds on, 4 seconds off. Finally, we have the dreaded busy tone. This is the sound you'd hear after you pick up the receiver, hear the dial tone, dial a number, and hear it ring for a little bit, trying to connect to another line. The busy tone is what you hear when that other phone you're trying to connect to is already engaged and can't accept any other calls. This sound tells you as much. It's a frequency combination of 480 Hz and 620 Hz. It's meant to be played half second on, half second off. I'm going to make some slight adjustments here, removing the dynamic CV input for just a moment. I'll connect the output of voltage maps to the dynamic CV in. I'll connect the MIDI-B gate output to the right input, just set a bit negatively. And I'll connect the touch gate output to the leftmost input. And this is the busy sound. I'll call you back.
So we've synthesized the sound of a call being made. The dial tone, the dialing of the numbers, the ringing, the busy tone. But now let's synthesize the sound of a voice on a completed call as it emerges from the speaker in a handset.
To begin, we have our microphone patched into this Doepfer A119, which is providing amplification for it. We'll send an audio out from the preamp to the top input of the mod mix. This is the carrier input. Then we'll take the sine wave out from one of our oscillators. As you can see, it is tuned quite high into the modulator input of that ring modulator. This is what that sounds like just on its own.
This is the sound of the Yokotan Boom.
Next up, we'll take the sine wave from our second oscillator, which is tuned to match our first oscillator, very, very high frequencies, and send that to the modulator input of channel 2 of mod mix. The carrier input is normaled to output 1.
This is the sound of a microphone being demodulated.
The last piece is now treating this signal, and I'll be using the fixed filter for that. I'll patch out of the mod mix into the 12 dB input, and we'll be taking a couple of higher bands and setting them into their own XO channels. Start with the 692 Hertz, and then we'll take the 1411 Hertz. Let's listen to that.
And this is the sound of a microphone being demodulated and filtered.
In this modular landscape, the preamp, the oscillators, and the pair of ring mods are synthesizing the transmission aspect of the call, whereas the fixed filter is synthesizing the acoustic reality of the handset. For this last patch, I thought I'd jump us all the way ahead to the bleeding edge of technology and talk about the sounds of the dial-up modem. Unfortunately, I do not have a patch to perfectly synthesize the twists and turns of the classic dial-up modem sound. If you do, please leave it in the comments below. Instead, what I can present is a more vibes-based approach to synthesizing that sound. This one requires a MIDI controller and an O-coast. I've got the MIDI output from the Yamaha QY70 patched to the MIDI input on the O-coast. I will press Program A and Program B together, entering into the O-coast's Arpeggiator mode. The Arpeggiator needs a clock patched into its tempo input, so for that, I'm going to use the slope section. Press cycle and set rise and fall fully counterclockwise. We want basically an audio rate clock source. Patch the end of cycle output to the tempo input. And a couple other settings here on the coast. We want to set balance fully counterclockwise, so we're not listening to our clock source, we're only listening to our MIDI controlled oscillator. On the contour section, onset, fully counterclockwise, decay is basically fully counterclockwise, sustain is fully clockwise, and I've got the shape set kind of in a logarithmic place, but experiment and find something that works for you. Finally, the last step is to play some notes into our O-Coast from the MIDI controller. I'll be playing chords because we're in the arpeggiator mode. It'll be cycling through the notes of those chords, but at audio rate. This is what that sounds like. Thanks for going on this technological, archaeological journey with me. Walker will be back next week, so be sure to tune in and see what he's up to. And if you find yourself on Instagram, stop by the Make Noise channel and see what we're posting there. In the meantime, take care and happy patching.